The spring 2023 anime season has come and gone, leaving us with some returning favorites, some new bangers, and a lot of hype. We were so lucky this season to be introduced to iconic characters that would take over the new generation of anime, see the return of Ufotable's breathtaking animation, and so many satisfying moments. I want to go over the anime this season that stood out to me and rank the top 5 best ones. While there are a lot of anime this season that I personally watched, there were a few hyped ones that I never got around to watching. Sorry Vinland Saga, I swear I'll pick you up one day. Before we jump into this, I want to give a quick spoiler warning. I will be discussing the contents of each anime, so please feel free to skip the segments if you don't want any spoilers. So, let's not waste any more time and get into the list. I wanted to give a quick honorable mention to Yamada-kun at level 999 for giving us a gamer anime romance that isn't an isekai. I adore the two main characters, especially Akane, with how many cute expressions she can make in one episode. The human characteristics of Yamada were pretty interesting. He's a pretty layered character despite the emotionless demeanor. It's always enjoyable rooting for those two every week, and the ending gives you a very nice sense of satisfaction. It's a nice one-season anime that I don't really need a sequel to. It's no Kaguya-sama or Fruits Basket, but it's definitely fun to watch. While Dr. Stone is at the bottom of my list, this anime is nowhere near as bad. This season was divided into the building of the ship, appropriately named Perseus, with the second half of the season exploring Treasure Island. At this time in the story, we'd established that Senku has everything he needs to essentially accomplish anything, so the awe and wonder of creating modern day technology doesn't hit as hard as it does in previous seasons. However, there are still plenty of highlights that give you that warm fuzzy feeling, like when Senku builds the camera and does the Einstein pose. Ryusui and Francois are two S-tier characters introduced this season, and their screen time is always enjoyable. Best Girl Kohaku gets a chance to shine during the second half of the season, which is always appreciated. The best part of the season, hands down, was finding out that Byakuya's final mission was collecting platinum so that his son could use it in the future. The score was beautiful, the animation was pristine, and the impact was devastatingly hopeful. Watching that man spend the last decade of his life working himself to death because of the faith he had in his own son to save the world is nothing short of spectacular. This is one of the best moments of Dr. Stone, and Byakuya is cemented as the best dad in anime. 7 out of 10. Up next on my list is the number 4 spot, Mashle, Magic and Muscles. Maybe it's because I love One Punch Man and Mob Psycho so much, but Mash Burn Dead is probably my second favorite protagonist this season. The number 1 spot is coming later. This Harry Potter anime parody is actually really good. The characters can feel one note at certain times, especially Mash, but it works in this setting since you're expected to take things about half seriously most of the time. The anime Wizarding World aspect is played straight without much meta commentary on its British counterpart. Just like One Punch Man, the gag always ends the same, with the obnoxious villain getting one-shotted by Mash, but the clever ways he uses his muscles to combat the magic makes the show more creative than Saitama just punching the final boss over and over. For example, in order to play Quidditch, Mash, who can't fly on a broom, propels himself with sheer force and uses physics to create an infinite scoring method. Great show and great gym motivation. 7.5 out of 10. Coming up on number 3, Demon Slayer, the Swordsmith Village arc. This is the one that's gonna make people mad. First, let's start with a disclaimer. I genuinely believe that Demon Slayer has been and still remains the gold standard for what anime could be if given enough time and love. This season is no different. All of the fight scenes are eye candy, and I wish shows like Record of Ragnarok could get this type of treatment. This was a wonderful season with fun new characters and an amazing climax. That being said, I would put this below both Mugen Train and the Entertainment District. The Swordsmith Village arc is on par with the first half of season 1 for me. It serves its purpose in developing Tanjiro and Nezuko while giving us such beautiful Sakuga to gawk at. The new characters, Genya, Mitsuri, and Muichiro, weren't given as much love as they could have. My favorite of these three is Mitsuri because of how honestly real and human her background is. She wants love, but because of certain aspects about herself and her body that's outside of her control, she is constantly rejected. Not that Muichiro and Genya were necessarily bad, I just didn't have as much investment in their backstories as I did for Mitsuri. Maybe because the "my family is tragically slain by demons, now I'm going to become a demon slayer" story is kind of played out at this point. As an anime only, I don't know the future for these characters, but their introduction did not hit me as much as Rengoku, Tengen, or Mitsuri's. I am very curious to see how Sanemi's character plays out, since he's introduced as this raging lunatic, but Genya's backstory shows a very different Sanemi than we saw in Season 1. The villains I'd say were the weakest part. The best moments for the demons were the scene of Muzan's castle in episode 1 and Muzan's backstory in the last episode. Again, the beautifully shot scenes alone sets the show above so many others. It would have been nice to see more of the interactions between the Upper Moons before they were killed. Akaza, Doma, and Kukushibo were the highlights of the season, and this wasn't even their arc. Doma stole the show with the 5 minutes of screen time he was given, and Kukushibo leaves me scratching my head going, is he Tanjiro's dad? No wait, Tanjiro's dad died. Also, he's over 1,000 years old, but what does the flashback mean? Why is there an adult Tanjiro? But what? It's a fun mystery that I would rather not have spoiled for myself. As for the two demons we got this season, Gyoko, who's supposed to be stronger than both Daki and Gyotaro, wasn't as threatening as those two were, and the fight was merely a way to establish the special marking power-up and introduce Muichiro's backstory. Hentengu was a bit more interesting in that he was the worst humanity had to offer, committing every crime he can think of as a human, but never accepting responsibility for them until his death as a demon. He's someone that you want to watch Tanjiro cut down. The problem I had with him was that the fight between Zohakuten and Mitsuri was cut short, while the Muichiro story dragged out one episode too long. I did like that Hentengu was so irredeemable that not even Tanjiro could feel empathy for him. Aside from that, there wasn't that much remarkable about these Upper Moons. Any problem aside, Nezuko conquering the sun was the best use of a fake out death I could have ever asked for. It had me genuinely fooled into thinking that Tanjiro was going to go down a dark path after the death of his sister, and his only reason for living is gone. However, this fake out wasn't just a Deus Ex Machina plot device, but actually has stakes now that Michael Jackson knows she's immune to the sun and wants to capture her. I'm happy to see Nezuko's voice actor putting in real work, and I'm hyped for the rest of Demon Slayer to get animated. I can't get enough of this show. 8 out of 10. Number 2 on my list would be Hell's Paradise. All that I heard about this show was that it was considered part of the Dark Trio alongside Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, two of my favorite anime out there. I came in expecting a dark, action-packed show that makes you think about life. This is exactly what I got and more. The reason I put this one above Demon Slayer is that I was invested in all of the characters, even the short-lived ones, and every episode felt like it used its screen time effectively. While the fights are objectively less impressive than Demon Slayer, I would say they're still quite entertaining to watch. The themes of the story is the best part and why it is so high up on my list. I wasn't really feeling Sagiri's character, since I thought she'd be a generic damsel trope for Gabimaru to save over and over again. That was until we got the explanation of Tao and the connections to Taoism. Everything clicked for me then. Gabimaru and Sagiri are at the center of the story, serving as the yin to the other's yang. The strength in weakness and the light in the dark. The story's focus on Taoism and its world building of the power system is really creative and fun. The main theme of yin-yang and balance is really cool to see in every part of the show. The fact that each deviant criminal is paired with a noble executioner, the indomitable strength of Gabimaru paired with Sagiri's weakness, and how the role of the two switches later on in the story when Gabimaru has to learn to be weak, while Sagiri has to learn to be strong. The island itself being beautiful but with hellish creatures. The characters are all great. Gabimaru is my favorite anime protagonist this season since I am a sucker for a healthy romantic relationship being portrayed. Best boy Gabimaru always puts his wife first. Sagiri, serving as his twin flame on the island, also introduces an interesting dynamic. since we know Gabimaru's heart belongs to his wife, but he is tied to Sagiri. Their connection is deep, yet without romance, and I'm interested in seeing how the relationship progresses. I wouldn't be surprised if some platonic bochu happens in order for the two of them to get stronger. Yuzuriha and Shion will highlight characters for me, with the purple ninja stealing the spotlight whenever she's on screen. Like, you know she's a murderer and will probably betray you, but she's super fun to watch. Overall, a really pretty looking show with a great theme, amazing characters, and uses every second of screen time appropriately. 9 out of 10. It was pretty obvious what my number 1 was, but what can I say about Oshinoko that hasn't already been said? Everything I liked about the previous entries on this list, this show has in spades. On top of that, it has one of the, if not the greatest anime opening I've ever heard, as well as an amazing first episode that doubles as its own feature-length movie. Oshinoko dazzled me and continues to dazzle me with every episode. I had no interest in the world of idols or the behind the scenes of the entertainment industry, but this show demanded my attention and made sure I never looked away. The animation is so clean and beautiful, especially during the concert scenes and any scenes involving eyes. The characters were all fleshed out, engaging, and had meaningful contributions to the plot and overall themes of the story. This show had the most impactful character death since Aaron's mom. The love and pain that Ai's children feel following her loss is echoed in their mannerism and motivation, with subtlety and realism. The two leads are deeply traumatized and harness that trauma into separate ambition, both guided by the spirit of the woman who raised them. This show is so layered with themes of fame, ambition, celebrity culture, and trauma. Episode 6 by itself is a bottle episode centered around one character that serves as a microcosm for all the themes. The music naturally is the best out of any show this season by a landslide. You understand why Ai captured the hearts of so many and why her successors will do the same. At the same time, you understand the darkness of the world she lives in and why lying came as natural to her as breathing. The lyrics of the opening captures her story so beautifully and has a permanent spot on my playlist. The story is amazing, the visuals are gorgeous, the characters are well fleshed out and three-dimensional. The only gripe I have is that I had to get a HiDive subscription to watch it. Trust me, it's worth it. I was gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10 until I found out that they'd released a live-action music video for Paeon starring a bodybuilder and Ruby's voice actress. I mean, just look at this. Instant 10 out of 10. Those are my top anime for spring 2023. What do you agree with or disagree with? What are your top anime this season? And what are you looking forward to this summer? Let me know in the comments below. I personally can't wait for JJK to come back. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next video.